Well. Here, you guys get a panoramic view of Clark the Shark and my technology. It's Tuesday, June 3, 2025. And as many of you know, I, Clark the Shark, am a kinder and gentler ghost hunted. I am a ghost hunter, but it's more like the ghosts hunt me. Now, I'm sitting right here in a chair here on Tuesday, June 3, 2025. It's about 11:30 a.m. or something like that. And there's a specter that plays this guitar and sleeps on my couch. And I'm just sitting here, you guys, wondering about our society and how effed up we are. Now, I don't know if many of you are familiar with my situation and why I am here in San Diego at my nephew's house, and I'm not in Los Angeles with the black people who I lived with from about March 2019 to May 25, 2023. It comes down to, I hate to sadly say this, you guys, but people don't care about Clark the Shark. And then they say things like, well, he deserves it, or it's for his own good. I've never been able to figure out this dynamic. And the ghost, too, look at him. He's like, I don't get it either, Shark, but can I play your guitar? That's all this ghost cares about, is playing that guitar. But he's sort of like me, I guess. He likes music. And, dude, that's a whole nother topic, music. Dude, there's a whole fucking thing to talk about there for an hour. Shark's music, which everybody knows is really good, but people are like not going to step forward. Everyone's afraid. Like, I'm not going to be the one to say Sharky's good. Me, you guys, when I see a band, let me tell you guys a story. There was a band called Death and Taxes in the South Bay, Redondo Beach, Torrance. And they were a really weird band. And there was a guy named Tom Shannon, the bass player. I don't want this earth to forget about this guy. I think he died in 2002 of a really bad cancer. So I can kind of relate, me, Clark the Shark. But I remember I was one of the few people that were like, man, this band is really good. They're incredible. Tom Shannon, genius. And they would play gig after gig after gig, and kind of like my band, The Greenhouse Effect, GE, me, Clark the Shark, there would be no one at the gigs. And I couldn't understand it. I thought the band was incredible. The guy was amazing on bass. Probably the greatest bass player I've ever heard and seen. I'm not even kidding. I'm not an exaggeration, you guys. And the ghost here, look at this ghost. He's like, Sharky, I agree. I was there. I saw that band. That might even be him. He's like, Shark, the guitar, I just love it. But my music is a little more controversial because there's this thing in the South Bay, Redondo, Torrance, Hermosa Beach, Palos Verdes, Lomita, that, or at least there was, last I was there long ago. There's this thing in the air that Clark the Shark is weird. He lives in his own little world. And I always thought, well, they don't like me because I'm like a Republican or conservative. And then someone will be like, I didn't even know your political views, Shark. And I'm like, really? That isn't why people, think I'm weird? And they're like, no. I'm all, why do they? And they're like, Well, you're one of those weirdos, Sharky. 1-800-449-8255, the Sharkalama Ding Dong, the Sharkadoodle Doo. But there's a big miscommunication because I'm like, you guys, I'm like Hush Bimbo, Rush Limbaugh, Hannity, Fox News. I thought that's why they don't like Clark the Shark. And people are like, no, we didn't even know about your politics, dude. This ghost is like, I didn't know either, Shark, but I like your guitar. He's all, I will play your guitar, and just look at him. His hands are up. He's like, I love this guitar. Now, you guys, the SLS camera picks up. Look at him. Dude, you're good on guitar, aren't you? The SLS camera, I accidentally said yesterday it picks up organic material, but that's just, not exactly. It picks up movement, EMF, things that shouldn't be there. It picks up that are shaped like a humanoid, human shape, you guys. So there is something right here, right now at that guitar. See him just sitting there? And a lot of people are like, no, Shark, that's not a ghost, even though he's got his left hand right on the guitar. And then his right arm is waving at me like, Sharky, I'm playing your guitar with my left hand. Now both hands are up. And I can hear the little sound he makes too, you guys. Like, it's like a little whisper hum, like an electrical. And it's also, there's this evil, diabolical, like, sound. Like, I can't describe it. It's like a hum, whisper, growl. And I do believe, you guys, these spirits that play my guitar are nefarious. He's like, you damn right, Sharky. You better believe it. He's playing that guitar, you guys. That guitar right there. There is a spirit. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. Now his hands are on the neck of the guitar, and he's also got his feet on the guitar. Weirdly enough, right here on the Clark the Shark show. But you guys, that is a real specter, a humanoid playing guitar. But anyway, back to Clark the Shark, now 60 years old. Now our society, you guys, is really effed up because I am here hunting ghosts, or whatever it is I do, because let's take the story all the way back to 2013 when the Democrats voted to give driver's licenses to illegal aliens. Don't ask me how, because the people, the citizens of California, would never have voted for that. But somehow the state legislature did it, and then Governor Brown signed it. Totally illegal, you guys. The people had no say in that. But the California Democrats, just to get votes, they did this. So in, I think it was 2015, January 1, you saw all these new cars on the road. Millions of people who shouldn't be driving were suddenly driving. Many of which didn't have insurance, many of which don't really know how to drive too well because they're from other countries. There's just a different culture, you guys, the driving style in El Salvador, Ukraine, Russia, Poland, India. It's different, you guys. Madagascar, Colombia, Venezuela, Nicaragua, even Canada, Germany, France. They're different drivers, you guys. Mexico, of course. But the Democrats gave them non-citizens, you guys, driver's licenses. And this ghost is like, Sharky, I play this guitar. I'm listening to you. I'm interested. At least I have a captive audience of one. A ghost that plays guitar. Look at him. So anyway, you guys, January 2015. Suddenly, there's no parking anywhere. There's a lot of smog. At night, especially, nowhere to park. Millions of new cars on the road. And there was another phenomena that happened with the illegal driver's licenses. Rent started going up. 8 people living together. Now, that's a little side story, you guys. In other countries, 8 people live together, but in the United States, it's not really, or it wasn't anyway, back in the day, it wasn't really done that much. It was in the shadows on the underground. But suddenly, you guys, in 2015, 2016, 2017, it became commonplace to see 6, 7, 8 people all living together, especially in California. Am I right or am I right? Landlords knew this, so they started jacking the rent on everybody. And then guys like Clark the Shark would say, how about if American citizens still pay $1,100, but these people live 8 together, you can charge them $3,000. And people were like, that's not fair, Sharky. One size fits all. Everyone pays $3,000, $3,500 now. That's the way, Sharky. Get with it. The new normal. Here on the Clark the Shark show. Now, in 2015, I was turning 50. I was getting a little older, and I was a swimming pool cleaner for many years. And, dude, a 50-year-old swimming pool cleaner is a little different from a 40-year-old swimming pool cleaner or even younger. And the guy who I worked for, one of the guys, I worked for many different guys as a pool cleaner. But this one guy, him and me never really, there's just a misfire. We never really, were able to hit it on all cylinders. But then again, I can virtually say that with everyone I've ever known. And he, like everyone else, had his take on Clark the Shark. I don't know if he really thought it was weird or, I'm not sure. That's usually the Sharky default. Shark's weird. He lives in his own little world. But this guy, I'm not going to say his name, this pool guy would say things like Shark's lazy. And that's something they don't really say about Shark. Like someone in the South Bay, Redondo, Torrance, Hermosa Beach, Palos Verdes, Lomita would be like, lazy? No, that's not Sharky. Sharky's like a go-getter high on coffee. He's out there cleaning 25 pools a day. But this one guy in San Diego who I worked for would say these really mean, hurtful things about Clark the Shark that were a little out of bounds or a little different from what they normally say about Shark, which is pretty bad. But he would kind of improvise and add his own little Clark the Shark things. Now, this ghost here, you guys, he's having so much fun with the guitar that I'm gonna change the position of the guitar. I just want to talk about this ghost. I don't think he's very good on guitar, you guys. I think he's overrated. You guys, I think this ghost lives in his own little world. He's like, what are you talking about, Sharky? I'm pretty good. Yeah. I just think this guitar playing ghost doesn't know what he's doing. He needs lessons. You got to hold his hand. He's hopeless, you guys. He's like, Sharky, I'm telling you, I'm not... I'm like Dave Mustaine or like Joe Satriani or, Stevie Ray Vaughan. Who's that one guy, dude? Steve Vai. Sharky, I want to sit on this green chair, but you put a damn guitar there. You guys, I don't know what to do with this ghost, but... Here, dude. He usually when he's just still, he'll do more guitar work. But anyway, you guys, I was a swimming pool guy for a long time, from like 1992 all the way until I lost my apartment in 2019 March. I just quit paying because the rent was $2,000. They jacked it up from $1,100. All around me in the unit were 8 people living together. It was totally unfair. But like, you can't say that, dude, or you're like a racist or something, like Sharky. Okay, so you got people coming to our country, jacking up our rent and making it so 2 Americans can't live together. But you're racist for pointing it out. Like, why are these people even renting? What are they even doing here? Right here on the Clark the Shit Show. And the ghost is like, Sharky, you put the guitar in a position now, I can't play it as well. He's like, dude, don't play it with your feet, bro. Yeah, this ghost, dude, he doesn't know what he's doing anyway on guitar. He needs lessons. But dude, so anyway, I had a good life cleaning pools in 2011, 2010, 2009. My rent was, $1,000 a month or $950, $1,100. I had really good swimming pool job. Then all of a sudden in 2018, 2017, I'm running around trying to work side jobs. My rent's like getting close to $2,000. And there's a new thing happening. There's a new breed or a new value of pool guys in town who work a lot cheaper than Clark the Shark. And they will do a lot more. They'll be up at the crack of 5 a.m. cleaning filters or cleaning a pool for, who knows, dude, half the price of Sharky? I don't know. Or maybe even the same or more. But the bottom line is they're not U.S. citizens. But I think, I'm just guessing here, it could be wrong, but I think a lot of these guys were getting hired in pools, and a lot of guys like Clark the Shark, American citizens, were being let go just on the underground. Just my suspicion, I could be right or wrong. But in California, I'm sure this was happening, but all over the country, dude, wherever you have foreigners here able to drive a car suddenly, at least in California. I'm not sure how much of this was prevalent in other states back in the day. But Clark the Shark suddenly had high rent, a job under threat, or no job at all. And then I had the pool guys like, I would never blah, blah. I'll never forget you guys. I worked for a guy named Dave. And his pools were trashed. I must have gone like 30 pools for this guy. And I would take pictures of him. His pools were full of leaves. I'm not saying it's his fault. It was kind of in the winter. Pools get really bad. And clearly I worked really good for this guy. But I even told him in advance, dude, if there's jacuzzis, spas, the people throw parties in them, like the Super Bowl or something, and they get trashed. So don't judge me on a jacuzzi if it turns all foamy and gets ruined. And he's like, yeah, Sharky, I know. Long story short, dude, I'll never forget it. I went to the pool, sent him a note. Hey, dude, this spa's all fucked up. People had a party. Then he called me, dude, like a schizophrenic guy. He was never a dick. He was always kind of cool. And then one day he just blew up and threw a fit over this jacuzzi that was all foamy and dirty. And I'm like, dude, we already talked about this in advance. And he's like, he just got all mad, dude. And then I quit him, dude. It sounded like he was going to fire me, but then I beat him to the punch and just, goodbye, dude. We don't hit on cylinders. Goodbye. And then he sent me some rude text, like I would never rehire you or something. And how could you even say that, dude, after all the 30, 40 pools I cleaned for you that were just fucked, really leafy, hard work? And then the guy was withholding my money. But he was really the only pool guy that was a dick like that. There were like 8, 9, 10 other pool guys I worked for. And it went kind of, it went okay. But a lot of them were like, Sharky, I got to let you go because my nephew's in from Colorado. I got to hire him. Now, that's what they said, but I have a suspicion that they hired our friends who suddenly have driver's licenses from other countries, you guys. So when you give someone a license to drive, it can affect a pool guy like Clark the Shark in many ways. And it also affected Uber, Lyft, and, ride share, which was my other night job. I would clean pools by day, and then at night I would do Uber, Lyft, Uber Eats, that kind of thing. This ghost is like, Sharky, I'm enjoying this. I'm going to write lyrics. I'm playing the guitar, Shark, but, you're giving me some lyrical ideas here. I'm all, hold on, Ghosty. It's just getting good. Long story short, you guys, 2018, 2019, something that had never really happened before was happening all over California and was affecting me really for the first time, Clark the Shark, because I always lived in apartments. I was always able to afford it. I always had a job, but suddenly I barely had a job and apartments were too expensive. And it was like, call 911. I didn't know at the time, you guys, bad. Look at him. Like, dude, you're getting good, bro. So Sharky, I'm rocking that guitar. But anyway, dude, you guys, my friends, and you too, Ghost, I want you to listen. I ended up going to LA, weirdly, and living with my black family near Gardena, Los Angeles border, near Western and El Segundo Boulevard. I was down here in, Carlsbad, Oceanside Vista, Encinitas, North County. I'm not going to name where, the exact place, you guys, you weirdos. It's Clark the Shark. Come on, I know you'll be like this ghost, and you'll come around, you'll want to play my guitar and all that. And I'm like, you guys ain't touching my 1955 Strat copy. Look at the ghost. He's like, Shark, I can play better than you, though, bro. I'm like, you're dreaming, Ghosty. I'm Clark the Shark, one of the biggest musicians on the internet. She's a bitch, and then you live, no more whites, no more blacks. Are you making up your mind? They do that all the time, Ghosty. He's like, Sharky, your songs are they're all right, but they're just mediocre. Now check me out. I can jam your guitar like better than you. And I'm like, oh, dude, go ahead and fucking play my guitar. What do I care? I'm telling a story about suddenly Clark the Shark was living with black people up in Los Angeles. And it was a weird change for me, Clark the Shark, getting older. And then suddenly, dude, all these skin cancers were breaking out on me. And I was like, what the fuck is this shit? I got red dots and big moles on the back of my leg and stuff. And this ghost playing my guitar is like, well, Sharky, what did you do? And I'm like, well, Ghosty, listen. I went to a doctor. Next thing you know, you guys, I'm on SSDI. Plus my legs and knees and back are fucked up from 30 years of doing pools. And, dude, how old was I there? I was like late 50s, you guys, pretty old. And suddenly, I'm living with these black people who are my family in a room, my wife's room as a child, you guys, and me and my wife live in a room. And, the black people would be like, oh, he's a lazy bum nigga, this lazy nigga in our house, even though, I was sick all the time, like throwing up. and just sick. Always going to this doctor, probably because the doctors would give me shit, like experimental needles. Or who God knows, it's probably just Novocaine or a minor steroid. But when I would get these surgeries and go to these doctors and or maybe I was just nervous or worried. Getting surgery, something Clark the Shark never did before. I mean, a few. I've had skin cancers going back to like 2008. I had one big one on my forehead about 2016, 2014, I forget. And the doctor's like, Sharky, this is malignant melanoma. It's black and blue on your forehead, bro. And I'm all, what does that mean? He's all, dude, this fucking cancer on your forehead's bad, dude. We did a biopsy of it, and like, Sharky, you got bad skin cancer. And I'm like, well, dude, am I going to die? He's like, you could, Sharky, but we're going to remove it. And, dude, they removed it. And this ghost is like, Sharky, I'm writing lyrics as we go. And I haven't had any malignant melanomas since. And I wonder what that doctor would say. Like, Sharky, it's a miracle. I had a black mole on my forehead, and there was a little bit blue, and it would bleed. Blood would trickle down my face. That's how I discovered it. I would wake up, and there's blood all over me. And, I thought my wife backhanded me, but no. There's a mole bleeding on Sharky's forehead. So it and other moles were removed over the years. If you were to add up all the skin cancer moles going back to the 00s through the teens, probably about 30 surgeries. But these new surgeries I'm getting now, you guys late 50s, I'm 60 now. These surgeries are crazy because just like this ghost, dude, he's good. He thinks he knows what he's doing on that guitar. But these new surgeries that I get, you guys, are they're crazy. Here, I'm just going to turn the camera many positions, and you see that the ghost, he's like, Sharky, I don't care how you turn it. I'm playing your damn guitar. Dude, by the way, Ghosty, the guitar's upside down, bro. You should be the other way. He's like, Sharky, I'm a lefty like Hendrix. I'm like, oh, I got it, dude. Well, you're a little like Satriani. I like your style, Ghosty. He's like, yeah, Sharky, I can even teach lessons. You need some. I'm like, hey, Sharky, Ghosty, don't go there. I'll teach you some lessons. And I'm not giving free lessons today, Ghosty. He's like, Sharky, I'll give you lessons. 1-800-449-8255, the Clark the Shark Show. But anyway, so then up in LA, you guys, I got the settlement. This other lawyer, not the guy, Bill Latour, who got me onto SSDI, but some other lawyer who I won't name got me a big ass settlement. It's like, dude, it's a lot of money. It was a big chunk, like $80,000. Workers' comp, those. He took 12 grand of it, so I got 68. But suddenly, dude, I had a bank account with 68 fucking grand. And, Clark the Shark, I've had money before. I've had more than that in my day. But for recent times, when I'm kind of old, that's a pretty good chunk of change, right? And the ghost is like, Sharky, I'm listening. So then I, was goofing off on the internet, the thing called Link Collider, or, there's all these little things. There's another one called Custom Hits. But I discovered this crypto platform in Malta. I'm not going to tell you their name, you guys, but they had a website where they showed a graph and it said, he's checking his watch. Like, Sharky, how long your story going to go? I'm like, sorry, Ghosty, I'm holding you captive, with your upside down Hendrix guitar. Anyway, you guys, long story short, I invested a bunch of the money into the Malta crypto thing. I made some money out of it. But then in October 8th, 2022, it all went down. It went belly up. And I probably still had about just 20 grand left. So a bunch of money, like 60 grand just gone. Something like that. I'm not sure. Yeah, you guys. I'm not, the Spectre playing the guitar. I'm sorry. In the video, I said organic material, but what I meant is just a humanoid shaped thing in your house. This humanoid. Dude, I'm sick of you playing that guitar the wrong way. Let me change it around, you guys. I want him to play the guitar. There, dude. I put the guitar more right. Now play that guitar. I don't want to see Hendrix, upside down. He's like, what are you doing, Shark? I want you to play the guitar more. So, Shark, I got to turn around now. You got to be clean when you play those solos. Dave Mustaine and Hetfield with his down picking. He's like, Sharky, that's not my style. I'm more just like windmills like Pete Townsend. Or, kind of sloppy like Jimmy Page, but tasteful. I'm like, I get it, Ghosty. I'm a guitar player. Now he's all, I got to reposition myself, Shark. This is going to take 15 minutes. And I'm like, I don't care. I got all day, Ghosty. You do what you got to do. But anyway, you guys, I went around LA looking for a place, and I discovered security deposits are $4,000. And they want first and last and some other deposit. So they want about $8,000 for you to move in. I went to Gardena, Hawthorne, Lawndale, El Segundo, Inglewood, Torrance. Yeah, it didn't matter, you guys. Give up on Torrance. That place is super expensive. Redondo, hopeless. So I went to kind of, the ghetto-y areas, Hawthorne, Inglewood, all that, near LAX. And they still wanted like $7,000, $7,500 to move in. First, last, security deposit. And I said, oh, I get it. This is the fallout, symptom, if you will, stemming from 8 people living together. Am I right, Ghosty? Or am I right? And I realized I can't get an apartment now. Not only is the apartment $3,000 a month just for a 1-bedroom or a studio, but they want first, last security deposit. And I was like, my God. I was like, the movie Castaway with, what's his name? Oh, dude, Tom Hanks. Suddenly, Clark the Shark, was a castaway. Living with a bunch of black people in Los Angeles near Gardena. But they're my family, you guys. My wife's Valita, her family. And I lived there, but I was in the back of my mind, I was like, I don't know if these people understand the high rent. And dude, I looked around me and realized there was 8 people living with me. And I was like, oh, okay. They do understand. That's why they all live here. The ghost is like, Shark, I got to position myself now somehow to play this guitar. It's going to take me 15, 20 minutes to build. Look at him. He's like, I don't know what to do, Shark. You put the guitar in a way where I can't play it now. I'm like, sorry, Ghosty. You better figure it out if you want to earn your ghost degree. So, Shark, dude, I will figure it out eventually. Look at him. He's like right in my face. Like, dude. Anyway, long story short, you guys, I was living there. I was actually paying, a little bit of rent, like $500 a month. When things would break, they would all come to Clark the Shark, thinking I'm rich from my music or something, or, there's always this thing where people are like, Clark the Shark, you make all this money from music. You're the superstar, rock star on the internet with the greenhouse effect GE. And I love that, you guys. I'm like, oh, cool. I don't really confirm or deny or dispel it. I'm like, yeah, baby, Clark the Shark, 1-800-449-8255. I don't argue with it. I'm like, right on. You love it? You're a fan? Here, I'll autograph it. I'll spit on it. This ghost is like, Shark, could you please put the guitar the other way? I'm like, no, you got to figure it out, Ghosty. You're going to play with your left hand on the frets, your right hand on the pickups. Here, dude, you want to pick? I got a guitar pick for you. Here, you want to take it? He's like, no, Shark. I'm taking those guitar picks from you. Anyway, one day this guy would come around the house. Some guy that lives far away. I'm not going to name the name of the city, but it starts with a V. Far, far away. He did not live with us. And this guy thought he owned the house. He ran the house. Like he's the power of attorney of the house and all this stuff. And he wasn't. He's just some guy from a city that starts with a V, far, far away. And he would come around and he would bug other people out in the rooms. I'd be in my room, chilling. Sharky, getting ready, getting dressed to go to the doctor every day or some shit. Or just minding my own business, keeping to myself, keeping my nose to the grindstone, if you will, Clark the Shark. And me and my wife would just chill back in our room. But this guy would come around bugging other people out in other rooms, starting fights. And he was some kind of guy like some authority, like, you get out of here, you bum, And I was, kind of smart, like, I ain't going out there and confronting that. Just keeping to myself. In my room, Clark the Shark. But one day, this guy started yelling at my wife's sister and calling her disparaging names. And, like, I was the only one home. And, me, Clark the Shark, I'm non-confrontational. I'm usually, like, just a guy, like, chilling, like, I'll just, call 911 or something. But there was no time because this guy was in the kitchen yelling at this girl. Calling her real disparaging names. And I just got up and I went out there. I said, hey, man, very unusual for Clark the Shark. This is not who I am. I'm not a guy that jumps in chivalry or any of that stuff. That is not me. You won't see me like Mr. MMA, Kung Fu, Karate, Taekwondo, Jiu-Jitsu, Sharky, or with a weapon of any kind. That is not Clark the Shark. Sorry, Ghosty, you got to figure that guitar and don't wave your arms at me. He still hasn't figured out how to play the guitar on that couch like that. And I'm happy. Look at him. He's like, Sharky, move that guitar. I'm like, no, you got to figure it out, Ghost. He's all, dude, you can't play it facing it, dude. You got to get where the blue pillow is. There you go. You're getting it. He's like, Shark, this is hard. You got a pillow in my way, couch is on another pillow. The guitar's on another pillow on the couch. It's cumbersome, Sharky. But anyway, long story short, I went out there and I was actually kind of polite. I'm all, hey, bro, leave her alone. I don't think I was being a dick at all. I was more like a peacemaker, like, hey, you guys, knock it off, And the guy was disparaging the lady, my wife's sister. And I'm not going to say who the guy is. But I was like, hey, bro, just not, it's all good. Like, chill, it's all good. Next thing you know, this guy's in my face, like, calling me the N-word and saying, you want to step outside. And I'm like, in the kitchen, and suddenly there were some people there. I didn't know that we're in the house. So they witnessed this. And I was like, hey, man, I'm just asking you to leave this girl alone. Right here on the Clark the Shark show. And this guy just got in my face, dude. I didn't get in his face, you guys. I didn't. But I just turned around and, went in my room. I was like, whoa, dude, this guy's crazy or something. And me and this guy have no history of not liking each other. The guy was actually my buddy or something who I got along with. We weren't the best of friends, but we weren't enemies as far as I knew. But suddenly this guy's like, you want to step outside, nigga? Come on, Negro, you and me, pointing at me. And I'm like, dude, I was just asking you to leave the lady alone. I just went in my room, grabbed my phone, like, dude, I'm going to call 911. What is this guy doing? Suddenly my wife is in the door and facing this guy, like, get out of here, dude. And he's trying to get into my room to attack me. And my wife is holding him back at the door. Swear to God, you guys, on the Holy Bible, and this ghost here will agree. I was running from the guy, grabbing my phone to call 911. And then I got on the phone with the cops, and I'm all, hey, you guys, this guy's here bugging my wife's sister. Get him out of here. Never called 911 on this guy before. This was about January of 2020. This is a long time ago, 5 years ago or more, you guys. Now, today is June 3, 2025. So this was 5 years ago. Clark the Shark, not really a fighter, tough guy, 5'6", So, I wasn't jumping badass. I was just being mellow or, reasonable. Like, dude, leave her alone, man. What are you doing? Kind of thing. And that was it, dude. This guy had never liked me again. And I didn't even do anything that bad. I was just being, like, dude, leave that girl alone, bro. I wasn't being a dick or anything. I never, apologized to the guy or never really spoke to him ever again. That was January or February 2020 when COVID was just starting. Remember, COVID kicked in about March 15, 2020. But COVID was around since December, November 2019, something like that, you guys. And Ghost, you got to get behind the guitar, my friend. You got to get behind the guitar, dude, if you want to play it. You got to get behind it, dude. What you're doing is not going to work. You can play with your feet, bro. Hey, he's looking at me like, what do I do, Shark? Look at him. I'm like, dude, you got to figure it out. You are on the pillow in front of the guitar. You're never going to be able to play the guitar like that. And every now and then he gets in my face like, Sharky, move the guitar for me, bro, or something. I want to play your guitar. Look at him. I'm like, dude, no. You have to learn, Spectre. You've got to figure it out on your own. I'm being kind of like, college or like God or a big brother or, a pool guy that knows more. I'm like, Ghosty, I'm going to hold your hand. I'm going to humiliate you, Ghost, and force you to play that guitar. He's like, Sharky, I'm a Spectre that don't play that. Okay, I'm going to figure it out on my own. I'm like, yeah, you will. So anyway, you guys, long story short, this guy started hating me, but that was the only interaction I think I've ever had with the guy. And I ran from the guy, called the police on the phone, or I don't think the police ever even came. They just heard it, just ignore him, dude, stay in the room, blah, blah, blah. I don't think they came to the house that time. And then I drove the girl over to her boyfriend's house, dropped her off, and, that was the end of it. But apparently ever since that one little incident where this guy was totally in the wrong, bugging this lady, I don't care if she was drunk or whatever she was, dude, it's not his responsibility to bother her or harass her or anyone else in the house in any way. But honestly, you guys, I didn't do anything that bad. I was just, hey, bro, leave her alone. But this guy pulls big influence in the family. Now, here's one of the family dynamics about their house. And I tell them all, you guys need to man up to this one guy. He ain't the leader. He ain't the authority. I'll tell my wife's sister, brothers, nephews, cousins, you guys, you got a trouble with this one. Now, the one guy, dude, who, is kind of a dick, who comes bugging people, he's been in and out of jail a few times. So, dude, he's a bit of a troubled guy. He likes to pick fights, pick trouble. He thinks he's the authority. And I've even talked to my wife's mom and said, Mrs., wife's mom, you're going to have to man up to this guy. And people got to call the police. People got to, get him to leave. He's serving no redeeming value by coming around the house and bothering people or bothering anybody, blah, blah, blah. So I put out the word, you guys, I didn't really say anything that bad about him. I was just being honest. You guys need to step it up and man up to a bully. You do. But my wife's family thinks Clark the Shark is the bully or something. Like, Shark sleeps all day, or, dude, I got cancer. I'm going to a doctor every day. Rent is $3,000 a month. I can't get a home. I'm 60 years old. I'm on SSI, or SSDI. And this ghost is like, yeah, Sharky, I'm on SSI. I'm that ghost on your couch. And now, Sharky, you move the guitar where I can't even play it. And I'm like, dude, you got to figure it out, bro. You got to learn that guitar. I did it. Me, Clark the Shark of GE, the Greenhouse Effect. Don't look at me like that, ghosty. You can do it too. I did it. You can do it. Got to learn a little guitar like Satriani, like Steve Vai, like Megadeth, Mustaine, or Pete Townsend, Jimmy Page. You could be sloppy. I don't care. But you got to get behind that guitar. You know how the Lord said, get behind me, Satan? Well, you got to get behind that guitar. Look at him. He's like, I can't, Sharky. I'm having trouble here, the way you put this guitar. I noticed one thing about ghosts. You guys are not very smart. He's like, I was doing just fine earlier playing the guitar, and now you put the guitar on a blue pillow, Sharky, and I can't do it. But anyway, you guys, long story short, this guy fabricated not just a restraining order, but a police report. Totally not true. I've never done anything to this guy. Not going to say his name. And I probably called 911 on this guy just 3 or 4 times over a 5-year period. And other people did too. But the cops would come and I would explain the situation. The cops would be like, well, we're going to ask him to leave. And the cops would ask him to leave. So the cops, the sheriffs, knew this guy was bothering me. And not just me, but they knew he was bothering everybody at the house. So right now I'm sitting here. How does this guy have a police report? The police would have to know the police report's fake. So he must have said I attacked him or did something, which I didn't do. So I want to sue the police or something. They know I didn't do anything to the guy. And not just me, Who knows who else he got restraining orders on in the neighborhood or at the house. This guy, really crazy guy. He nutty. And believe you me, you guys, I don't hate this guy. I feel bad for him. Because when people are nutty or, schizophrenic or they got something wrong with them, that's not funny, you guys. I have a nephew in the news, as you guys know, who I got one nephew in and out of jail, and I got another nephew who, I don't want to talk about it, dude, but it went bad in Colorado. But, I think they should lock him up and throw away the key. But I don't hate the guy, like the Lord is like, don't judge, Sharky, don't hate. And I don't, you guys. And I don't hate this one guy. I don't. I'm frustrated. But I'm sitting here wondering, okay, he got a fake police report and he got a fake restraining order. So when I went to the restraining order hearing, I just thought, the judge was going to dismiss it. And when we were in the hearing, the judge was going that way. She's like, you are going there bugging him. He's just some guy living there. And then the guy lied and said, no, I live there with him. And I was like, no, that's not true. And the guy also lied to the police and said he lived there with us. And the police knew darn well he didn't. So it's almost like the police are colluding with him. And he goes to the police and he's like, you guys, officer, how do I get this nigga out of my house? So the police are like, hey, Joe. I'll just call him Joe, you guys. That's not his name. But they're like, Joe, get a restraining order on him. And he's like, the nigga hasn't done nothing to me, though. And the cops are like, just make one up, bro. Do you see where I'm going with this, you guys? The police colluded with him, not just on a fake police report, but on a fake, phony restraining order, knowing that me, Clark the Shark, I'm not a guy who people get restraining orders on. I don't go to courts. I don't go to, I don't get in trouble. I don't go to jail. I'm not one of those. I work the 9 to 5. nose to the grind kind of guy. And this ghost is like, Sharky, I love this story. I like where it's going. I'm like, no, you're not going to like it, Ghosty. And I'm still waiting on you to play that guitar. Get in position. He's like, Sharky, I'm bending my knees. I'm bending my arms. I mean, dude, it's not that hard. You know, just visualize. Play that guitar, Ghosty. But anyway, long story short, I went to the restraining order hearing, and I brought a bunch of witnesses from this guy's family out in the hallway. You know how they clear the court. The people sit outside. And, the guy got up out there on the stand. It was just him and me. Empty room, just cops, a judge, and him and me. And he kept on lying about me, saying I do all this stuff. And I'm like, Your Honor, I don't do anything. And the judge wasn't buying it. She's like, dude, he doesn't look like the type who, this doesn't rise to the level of, it's obvious you just don't like this guy. You don't want him there. And you're trying to get him out. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. He was lying, saying I attack him. I scratch his eyes and all this stuff. And I'm all, if I'd done that, there'd be an injury report with a doctor or a nurse's report, or, the police would have arrested me, or there'd really be a police report. And the guy was even saying some other lies, which I won't repeat, but the judge knew the guy was full of shit. And she was basically like, my friend, I have to dismiss this. I do. Right here on the Clark the Shit Show. And then the guy was like, all right, Yana, I'm good. He can stay. And I'm like, wait a minute. He just lied about me, Your Honor, for, a half hour we're standing here. He telling lies about me. And then the judge was chastising me. I don't know what the word is. The judge thought I was patronizing her or something. And she would be like, Mr. Higgins, do you understand court, how it works? And I'm like, no, I'm Clark the Shark from GE, the Greenhouse Effect, guitar, drummer guy, songwriter. I don't know about court and restraining orders. And she's like, don't worry, Mr. Higgins, I'm going to dismiss it. And I'm like, well, cool. All right. I can groove with that, Your Honor. But I was like, he lying about me. Aren't you going to give him a fine for lying, or give him a fee for perjury or something? And she's like, that's what people do in court, Mr. Higgins. They try to prove. I'm all try to prove by lying? He perjuring himself. And she's like, don't worry about it. And then, then suddenly she calls one witness, and a lady comes in. I'm not going to say who the lady is, but then she lies about me, and not just me, but my wife, saying some mean things that I won't repeat right now, you guys, here on the Clark the Shark Ghost Show. I'm not going to give you more details until this ghost plays this guitar. I'm going to keep it vague, generalities. But this lady was saying mean things about me and my wife. And more mean things about me, and they were lies, more perjury. So all I said was, these two people, I can't believe our Los Angeles court system let these two people perjure themselves, lying about me, and then they're my family. Think how I must have felt, you guys. These two people are my family, really my only family, you guys, is the black people. Because my white family in Torrance, they're like not worth even talking to or something, you guys. There's past shit, discretions, where I don't even want to go there. So my only family was the black people, my wife's family. And I was trying to point that out to the judge. Also, I'm on SSI and got cancer, going to a doctor, all this shit. Getting a little older now, I'm not 40 or 35 anymore, Your Honor. And still the judge was like, Mr. Higgins, I don't believe them. I know they're lying. And I'm like, well, they're lying, then give them a fine, or, tell them quit lying or something. But don't let them lie about me. I was really offended in that courtroom. The fact they were lying about me really irritated me because it was a court of law. And I always thought, you guys, that lying in a court of law is perjury, and it's really bad. But long story short, this judge felt like I was trying to show her up, and I wasn't, you guys. I wasn't doing that at all. I was just saying, think of me, Your Honor, these people lying about me in a court of law, making up salacious, phony stuff, and even racial stuff, trying to say I was racist, and I'm married to a black lady. Imagine how I must have felt, you guys, and how I still feel now. Anyway, long story short, the judge disappeared, got up from her bench, and went to her chamber. And I looked to my right at the police, about 4 or 5 cops, the sheriffs or the bailiff guys or whatever they are in the room. And I'm all, what's going on? And the cops are all, she's putting a restraining order against you. And I'm all, for what? And I'm all, anyway, I have witnesses out there that, is she going to hear? She heard his one witness. I've got like 7. And the cops are like very cold. They're like, no, I'm like, I'm all, what, was I yelling? And they're like, no, you're just being passionate, kind of explaining. You weren't really yelling. And I really don't, you guys, here on the Clark the Shark Show. I will only yell when it's really warranted. Usually I keep it cool. And I talk to these ghosts. I'm just kind of a teacher. They're the pupil. And I'm like, you ghosts, you just can't, you were playing the guitar early. So he's having trouble, like this, you guys. Put the guitar again like that. Now he'll come back and play it. I guess he needs room under the guitar, But long story short, the judge put a restraining order on me. And then my wife said the guy felt remorseful, And when she saw him many times, and I'm like, yeah, he should. He lied about me. And that lady too, I'm not going to say their names. But they, I really don't blame them. I blame the judge, and I blame the police for colluding, trying to kick me out. I was on SSDI, and the whole household was nice because we were all taking care of the old lady. It was a family. But now everyone's gone. I'm gone, lived in motels down in San Diego where I don't belong. My nephew don't want me here. You know how it is when you're Clark the Shark. They don't want you anywhere. Isn't that right, God? He's like, Sharky, just keep trying to get this ghost to play guitar. And yeah, you guys. So now I'm sitting here like, I've realized some new things about the case. My wife was in living trust that owns the house, which means my wife owns the house. So when they evicted us, they evicted her out of the house she owns on May 25, 2023, about just over 2 years ago, you guys. How do they kick a lady out of a house she owns? And I talked to a cop, and he's like, well, they kicked you out, not her. She can stay there. I'm like, well, that's kind of insulting. Her and me are legally married. And he's like, I'm sorry, Mr. Higgins. I'm like, you're sorry? She got to go with me. The judge kicked me out, then she got to go too. So technically, if you want to get scrupulous, the judge kicked and made homeless a lady, evicted her that did nothing wrong, except be married to yours truly, Clark the Shark. And look, the ghost has totally disappeared. He not playing the guitar, nothing. No ghosts in the room, you guys. They vanished. He's like, Sharky, the reason I vanished is because, I want to play with this globe. Like, dude, play the guitar. I moved the guitar for you, bro. He's like, okay, Sharky. Now that you move the guitar, I think he's got his legs on the guitar. He's got his hand. What are you doing? Are you tuning the pegs? He says, Sharky, I'm getting in position to play that guitar. I'm building, Sharky. Got to build some energy here. But I'm sitting here wondering, dude, our society, who do I call? The DOJ, a lawyer? Every lawyer I call is like, you need a civil lawyer. So I call a civil lawyer, and they're like, you need a family lawyer. So I call a family lawyer, a civil lawyer. And I'm learning something about lawyers, you guys. They're just ambulance chasers, every one of them. If you got a real problem like Clark the Shark, wrongful eviction, wrongful restraining order, wrongful police report, there ain't no one for you. And maybe, I think it's just Clark the Shark, but all y'all are getting screwed by the fact there should just be a government branch. They're like, Sharky, we'll clear this up right now. So let's wrap this up. A guy fabricated a restraining order that didn't happen, got a police report about things that didn't happen. We went to court and the judge rubber stamped all of it, knowing it was a lie, and then got my wife kicked out of the house she owns. And now I have no one I can call. Not the DOJ, not the CIA, not the FBI, not the police, the sheriffs, nobody. No lawyers will take the case. And we need a government bureau that only handles weird shit right here on the Clark the Shark show. That can write a letter to, I don't know, somebody, the Secretary of State, dude, fucking, I don't know who. But they could be like, you guys, first of all, here's one of the things you need. Somebody needs to interview my wife, Valida, and then also my other witnesses. They never got their day in court. And that's why I'm here at my nephew's house, right here on the Clark the Shit show. But it really was all created by the Democrats in 2015 when they handed out driver's licenses to illegal aliens. Because they fucked the jobs, they fucked the housing, the high rent, swimming pool guys, unless you're really skilled and you know something no one else knows. A lot of their bottom lines were affected by cheap labor. And I'm not going to say the Republicans on the other side of the aisle are innocent, because as we all know, Democrats like the cheap vote and Republicans like the cheap labor. So there's people, you guys, on both sides of the aisle that are corrupt. Maybe even Trump and Elon Musk too. I don't see these guys cutting the rent. Do any of you? Do you guys see rent going down under Trump and Musk and Doge? No. This ghost is like, Sharky, I'm not even playing the guitar anymore. I'll be over here at the Globe. Yeah, you guys, who do I call? Ghostbusters? Do. He's like, Sharky, I'll play the guitar. Got my both hands on the neck. I don't know what to do with my legs, Sharky, but my legs, my feet, and my hands are on the neck. I'm like, dude, you are like Satriani. You're like that blind guy that plays guitar with his feet and her hands. Right here on the Clark the Shit Show. 1-800-449-8255, the Shark-a-Lemma Ding Dong, Shark-a-Doodle-Doo, the Wolfman Jack on crack, America's premier #1 ghost hunter, but who's really ghost hunted. Because the ghosts hunt me, you guys. They do. Right here on the Clark the Shark Show. Where I have a predicament. Who do I call, you guys? A lawyer? No. They're like, we don't handle that, Sharky. The DOJ? No. They just put you on hold. The Civil Rights Department? No. You notice these government bureaus all put you on hold? They're like, Sharky, go to an appeals court. I tried that. I even told the appeals court, I had 7 witnesses. The judge didn't interview my witnesses, you guys. Now, I haven't gotten to the best part yet. Me and my wife can't see the old lady who is our mother. 2 years now. So imagine that, LA sheriffs, LA courts. I know you don't care about Clark the Shark. Sad sob story. But you guys could at least care about my wife seeing her own mother right here on the Clark the Shark Shit Show. Am I right or am I right? They're like, Sharky, you can't even get that ghost to come back to the guitar. I'm like, he over at the Globe, you guys. He a world traveler on that Globe. Sharky, I like that Globe. All right, I'll come back to that guitar. I put the guitar so the ghost can play it. Now he's like, I'm over it, Sharky. It's not fun anymore. I'm not feeling it now. I was in the mood earlier, Sharky. But anyway, you guys, that's the Clark the Shark show. We need a government bureau that handles weird gray areas and strange shit circumstances and legal cases only. Because you guys out there just know that I, yours truly, Clark the Shark, a kinder, gentler ghost hunted, not ghost hunter, you know that I will find my way into that 1 in a million niche where I am in a ditch. And I'm there now. Oh, dude, civil rights? You guys listening? What did I do wrong? I told the judge I'm on SSDI with skin cancer. What more do you want? Was the judge like, I'll get him out of here? What were the police like? Don't worry. Wink, wink. We can get him out. What are you guys doing? You trying to kick out a guy on SSDI with skin cancer just so you can wink, wink. Don't worry. We'll get him out of here. Oh, get the fuck a load of all of y'all right here on the Clark the Shit Show. And you wonder, you guys, why I play music on the internet. I got a fixed audience and they can't fight back. They can't argue. They just sit there and they are entertained, kind of like this ghost that plays this Strat copy, you guys. And I don't know what brand Zenny is, you guys. I don't know. I'm still trying to get that ghost to come back and play. Dude, there's just no ghosts at all in this room. They didn't like my story. The shark, yeah, that's a sob story. It was very boring. I'm like, well, it means something to me, Clark the Shark. He's like, the fact that we all left. He's like, boo, here I am, Sharky. I was listening. See him? I'm all right. You can redeem yourself, Ghosty, and play that guitar. Play that funky music, white boy. He's like, Sharky, you don't even know what I am. I'm green. I'm all right, my friend. I'm Clark the Shark. We need a government bureau for weird shit, weird circumstances. You know, people that get evicted for no reason. We need it, you guys. Something without lawyers. You've heard of doctors without borders? Well, we need bureaus without lawyers. And I'm out. Peace.